couple good questions. One being about Kurt's stomach, and I do remember him talking about his stomach. I know it bothered him. He didn't talk about it much. He wasn't like keeled over in pain or anything that I remember, though it was an annoyance. But let's see, like 1990 or so, I was hanging out with Chris one time. He told me more about, he was actually told me about a clinic, because I needed to get to a clinic for something, and he told me about a clinic that Kurt goes to for a stomach. And I remember him like going into more detail, and I didn't know that much, you know. Kurt didn't really share a whole lot about it. So that's that. And the other question was, did I see those guys much after Nevermind came out? I did not. One reason is I moved away for about 2 years, literally right November 1991 I moved to Albuquerque. I'd gone on tour out there and met this woman in Albuquerque, kept in contact with her, and then I ended up moving out there. And it was just good timing. Tacoma sucked, you know, even with what you would think like so much going on up here to actually make money, you know, it wasn't easy. Like, I didn't make $4.25 an hour until, you know, I think I made $4.25 an hour in Albuquerque at one point, but in Tacoma it was like $3.75 an hour, you know, barely being able to afford rent, being a, you know, struggling musician or whatever you want to call it. So, but I was still in touch with Chris. Kurt, he moved, but I did see those guys in Phoenix. So I don't remember the exact date. I want to say it was the end of December, beginning January. You could probably look it up online, but I know it was, I think, the end of December. I think. Anyway, it was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pearl Jam, and Nirvana at a Coliseum in Phoenix, or Mesa, but it was basically Phoenix. And Chris put me and 3 friends on the list. And that was amazing, because I had seen him. The Paramount is like, you guys have probably seen the sold out the sold out video or whatever, Nirvana sold out. So that was the Paramount show. But seeing them in a Coliseum was really bizarre, and I didn't really like it that much, actually. It seemed really weird, because when everything's mic'd and it's going through the PA, the whole energy's different. But anyway, I got backstage and passes, and actually hung out with those guys until they walked out on stage. They walked on stage, and I walked out into the audience. So that was kind of crazy, you know, hearing the crowd, you know, go crazy. It was. I remember Courtney was backstage with Kurt, and Kurt introduced me. I met Courtney twice. He introduced me to Courtney 2 different times. But so there was that time, and then there was the show in Salem, Oregon. So yeah, I mean, moving to Albuquerque, I lost contact with those guys a little bit, though I did keep in contact with Chris. Probably called him enough to annoy him, you know, because, you know, I mean, seeing those guys on like magazines. There was so much hype. Anybody that's listening to this that was old enough to remember, it was crazy, you know. And knowing those guys, like, it was pretty unbelievable, in a sense, though, you know, like, I mean, the music was that good. So I remember one friend I had a band with in Albuquerque. He shows up to band practice, and he's like, "Dude, I've never seen so many people rush to the dance floor. You know, when Smells Like Teen Spirit came on, the whole place, this club Beyond Ordinary in Albuquerque, just rushed, you know, to the floor." He's like, "I've never, you know, people are Smells Like Teen Spirit crazy, you know." So yeah, I saw Chris quite a few times. Well, let's see. I saw Chris probably about 4 or 5 times after I moved back. So I was in Albuquerque until June of '93, and Chris was living in Wallingford, so I was still in contact with him, and I'd visit him once in a while. So yeah, I hope that answers the question pretty good. Well, I'll have to rewatch this, and if it's okay, I'll just post it as is, or maybe I'll add more, because there is a lot to that, you know. What went on, like, watching their fame. Literally, I moved right before they became famous. Nevermind came out, but literally it sold, well, it went gold. Chris told me it went gold at that Paramount show, but I think another 2 months and they sold a few million copies or something. So everything just spiraled out of control. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, thanks for asking questions. It actually sparked some memories. That's what I wanted. Because I sit here and I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to tell this story. That's good. I'll get some good stories that way. But you know, questions are good. If it's video worthy, I'll do it. Thanks.